Aunt Lena, may I have some more of your cookies? I pushed the kitchen door just slightly, enough to peek inside. The warm smell of freshly baked dough wrapped around me like something safe, something almost belonging to me. But that feeling shattered the very next second. Mike's father was sitting at the table. I froze. My fingers tightened on the edge of the door, and instinctively I began to step back, trying not to make a sound. I already knew what would follow. "What is that ragged kid doing here again?" His voice cut through the air, sharp and irritated. "How many times have I told you not to let him in? And now you're feeding him too?" "It's just cookies," Aunt Lena answered calmly, though I could hear the tiredness behind her voice. "I baked them myself." "That's not the point," he snapped. "You don't know what he brings into this house. Look at him. Look at the way he lives. Our kids could pick up all sorts of filth from him, or worse." There was a pause. Then, softer but firmer, "He's just a boy. None of this is his fault." I didn't wait to hear more. Quietly, I stepped away from the door and walked down the narrow hallway, each step heavier than the last. I had heard things like that before. Too many times. "Hey, Alex. You coming or what?" Mike's voice called from the room. I stepped inside. He was sitting on the floor, surrounded by toy soldiers, fully absorbed in the battle he had created. "I've got to go," I said. "What? Already? We barely started." "I just need to..." He frowned, confused. "Did my dad say something again?" I forced a shrug. "No. I just remembered I have something to do." It wasn't a good lie. He knew it. I knew it. But neither of us said anything else. "Okay," he muttered. "Come tomorrow then?" Maybe. I didn't come the next day or the day after. People in our neighborhood didn't whisper when they talked about my parents. They said it out loud like it was just another fact of life. Trash pickers. Drunkards. Beggars. We did have an apartment, technically. But most mornings, before the sun even rose, my parents were already out. They moved from one dumpster to another, searching through bags, pulling out anything that could be sold or reused. Plastic bottles. Metal scraps. Clothes. Sometimes even broken electronics. My father liked to call it business. "Everything has value," he would say, holding up something dirty and half-broken like it was treasure. "You just have to know where to look." But what he never understood was what it did to me. The looks, the whispers, the doors that stayed closed. Eventually, someone decided they had seen enough. One day, people I didn't know came to our apartment. They spoke quietly, but firmly. My mother cried. My father shouted. And then they took me away. The orphanage wasn't warm. It wasn't kind. But it was predictable. There were rules. There was food. There was a bed that was mine. And most importantly, there was distance from the life I had before. At first, I thought I would go back. I waited for my parents to come. They did. A few times. My mother would bring small things, apples, candy, sometimes nothing at all but her tired smile. My father came less often, and then they stopped coming altogether. At some point, I stopped waiting. Years passed. I learned quickly that no one was going to fight for me, so I started fighting for myself. School during the day. Work whenever I could find it. Cleaning, carrying, fixing, anything. I didn't complain. I didn't ask for help. I just kept going. Because stopping meant going back. And that was never an option. Now, years later, I stood in a clean office, wearing a pressed shirt, holding a position people respected, deputy director. A title that still felt strange sometimes. But everything around me was real. The office. The team. The responsibility. The life I had built. My wife, Olivia, often laughed when I forgot important dates, but there was always warmth in her eyes. "You're impossible," she would say, shaking her head. "But somehow you make up for it." My daughters filled the apartment with noise, laughter, chaos. Sometimes they refused to sleep, whispering and giggling long past bedtime. And I would stand by the door, listening, smiling, because this was something I never had. And I would never let it slip away. The past stayed quiet. Until the day it didn't. We were hiring new staff. Expansion meant more hands, more movement, more pressure. I barely had time to breathe. That's when I saw him. At first, it was just a face among many, familiar but distant. It wasn't until he spoke that everything fell into place. "Hey, sorry," he said, approaching me carefully. "You wouldn't happen to be Alex Carter, would you?" I looked at him more closely. Something in his eyes. Something in his posture. "Depends," I replied. "Who's asking?" He grinned. "Mike Grayson?" And just like that, the past came rushing back. "Wow!" He let out a low whistle, looking me up and down. "You really made it, huh?" "Life changes," I said. "Yeah." "No kidding." He chuckled. You remember." I remember. He leaned closer, lowering his voice, though not enough. "You were the kid everyone felt sorry for." I felt something tighten in my chest. But I kept my expression neutral. "And now?" I asked. "Now you're the boss," he said, and there was something sharp behind the smile. I should have walked away. I didn't. That was my first mistake. At first, I convinced myself it was the right thing to do. People deserved second chances. I knew that better than anyone. If someone had given up on me back then, I wouldn't be standing here now. So I gave Mike a chance. More than that, I tried to help him. "Let's grab something after work," I told him one evening. "We'll talk." He showed up early. Too early. Sitting at the table, already halfway through a beer before I even arrived. "You always drink before a conversation?" I asked, taking a seat across from him. "Helps me think," he grinned. I didn't smile back. "Mike, I talked to your supervisor." His grin faded slightly. And he says you barely work." "That's not true," he snapped too quickly. "I do what I'm told." "Doing the bare minimum isn't the same as working," I said calmly. He leaned back, folding his arms. "So what, this is a lecture?" "No. This is an opportunity." He raised an eyebrow. "You want more money, right? Stability? Respect? Obviously. Then start acting like it. Show up. Work properly. Learn. I can help you grow in the company. But not like this." There was a pause. For a moment, I thought he understood. Then he smirked. "Or you could just promote me." I stared at him. "I'm serious," he continued. "You're basically running the place. Put in a word. Move me up. Why waste time carrying boxes?" And just like that, everything became clear. You want results without effort, I said quietly. I want fairness, he shot back. No, I corrected him. You want shortcuts. His expression hardened. Funny hearing that from you, he said. You think you got here all on your own? I did. He laughed. Come on, Alex. People like you don't just make it. Someone helped you. No one helped me, I said firmly. I worked. Yeah? And what I don't? No, you don't. The silence that followed was heavy, uncomfortable, final. Things only got worse after that. I kept my word. I watched him closely. Too closely, maybe. But I needed to know if there was anything to work with. There wasn't. Late arrivals. Long breaks. Excuses. Complaints. And eventually open defiance. Why are you always on my case? He snapped one afternoon, dropping a box louder than necessary. Because I gave you a chance, I replied. And you're wasting it. I didn't ask for your charity. No, I said. You asked for something worse. You asked for something you didn't earn. He stepped closer. You think you're better than me now? I held his gaze. No. I just made different choices. That hit him harder than anything else. I could see it. And I knew there was no turning back. 3 days later, he was fired. Not by me. By the system he refused to be part of. And that's when he decided to hit back. It spread quickly. Whispers at first. Then, open conversations. Oh, did you know? Really? Him? The orphanage, the parents. By the end of the day, everyone knew. Or at least they thought they did. I walked into the office the next morning expecting something to break. But nothing did. People still greeted me. Still listened. Still respected me. The only difference was the way some of them looked at me. Not with contempt. Not with judgment. But with something I hated even more. Pity. That evening, I told Olivia everything. Not pieces. Not softened versions. Everything. She listened without interrupting. Without reacting. And when I finished, she simply stood up, walked over to me, and placed her hands on my shoulders. Is that all? She asked softly. I blinked. All? You survived, she said. You built a life. You became someone your daughters will be proud of. She smiled. That's not something to be ashamed of, Alex. That's something to be proud of. I pulled her closer. And for the first time in a long while, I felt that weight lift. I thought it was over. I was wrong. A week later, I saw him again. Sitting on a bench near my building. A bottle in his hand. Empty eyes. Waiting for me? I asked. He looked up slowly. Who else? He muttered. I sighed. What do you want, Mike? What do I want? He laughed bitterly. My job back. My life back. My wife back? And you think I can give you that? You took it. No, I said firmly. You gave it away. He stood up unsteadily. You think you're so perfect now? I think I worked for what I have. And I didn't deserve a chance? I gave you one. You gave me rules, he snapped. Yes, I said. That's how life works. There it was. The truth he never wanted to accept. He looked at me for a long moment, then quietly said, "Let me stay tonight." I hesitated. Memories flashed through my mind. The kitchen. Warm cookies. A woman who once showed me kindness. "Just one night," he added. I stepped aside. "Come in." That night, as he slept on the couch, I stood by the window, looking out into the darkness. Thinking. About everything. About choices. About chances. About what separates people. Some are given everything and still lose it. Others start with nothing and build something real. It's not luck. It's not fate. It's not who your parents are. It's what you do. When no one is watching. When no one is helping. When no one believes in you. The next morning, Mike left. No apologies. No promises. Just silence. And I understood something clearly. You can open a door for someone, but you can't make them walk through it. Life had given both of us a starting point. Different, unfair, imperfect. But after that, every step we took was our own. And that's what truly defines a person.